back to Scott.
And we are here in the third point already for the final match of our stream coverage for the 2022 Division 1 Mixed Ultimate Championships. Make that the fourth point as DMT currently up by 3 over Huripuppers. My name is Blair Munro, proudly supported by Auckland Euphoria.
And my name is Lydia Smith. And I don't think I'm proudly supported by anyone.
That's not true. You're proudly supported by me here in the commentary booth and by the team at ULTI.TV. We are your eyes and ears on the ground to bring you the very best in this exciting match. An opening volley so electric that our equipment cut out for the first 2.5 points of the game. DMT, as I said, up by 3 over Huripuppers, currently on 0. Some great work as the wind has started to pick up a lot from the previous games today. Started to add that additional defender, and we saw Huripuppers get pressured on that near sideline. There was a lot of aggressive zone defense from the DMT side. Pinned them down, made some of those reset throws go awry, and DMT were able to generate a turn and convert that to a score. So based on what you've seen so far, Lydia, how do you think DMT are playing consistently? You know, in terms of sort of like their dynamic, based on what you know of the players and where you've seen them play before, do you think they're at about the same standard, or have they elevated something for this tournament?
They are looking pretty good so far today. I think they're making good use of that wind on defense and getting the turns nice and close to the end zone. We haven't had to see them work it heaps up the field. But their key players on offense are looking pretty standard. We've got Graydon Scott, Abby Liddell, and Hugo Swinson out today, ready to do lots of damage. So we see them sticking with their zone, this time more of an arrowhead.
So looking to try and pin down any forward motion for the disc, forcing it to move wide. We see Tom Curtis put a big shot up.
Oh! We love a good seagull catch.
Some great heads-up awareness there on the offense. Comes off the hands of Kajentiran, straight into the hands of the cleanup receiver there. O'Loughlin with the score for Huripuppers to bring it back to a 2-point game.
They'll feel good to be in the game.
And so DMT to come out on offense for the first time this game. Ladies and gentlemen, folks at home, non-binary friends of Frisbee, everywhere around the world, New Zealand, on the fields and on your couch. Tuning in just in time to see Huripuppers put one on the board. Broadly with the disc for Huripuppers.
Oh, that's a nice pull from...
Great throw by Broadley. Touchdown just in bounds. The wind's going to carry it a little bit wide, but Swinson's able to get it anyway.
Finds Abby Liddell in the crowd.
Puts up big forehand, a little bit of a break on it. Great take there by TMT.
Oh.
Kazuki Steele again puts another point on the board. Doing some absolutely fantastic work there. And really, that's one of the key things, is recognizing that trust in your teammates. When you see a long shot go up, it's kind of instinct to really chase it down and be the one who gets that disc. And I think that what we've seen DMT do incredibly well is have a player follow the disc, but recognize my teammates got this under control. I'm going to make sure I'm their next option.
I think that's also definitely a great strategy. Nothing worse than too many people clogging the space.
And the worst thing then is when that happens, you also have the other issue where those two people both going for the disc, there's no continuation option. And the play, all the momentum drains out of the play, and the defense are able to put that pressure on. But in this case, really great heads-up offense by Kazuki Steele. to move past the disc and make himself an option for the score. So great work by DMT there to go up by 3, 4-1 over the Huripuppers from Wellington. Now, it's a bit of an interesting thing, this Huripuppers side. Their qualifying tournament for the Central Region, the Manawatu Maelstrom, they were not one of the top 3 regional seeded teams by the end of the tournament. Gangrene ended up declining a bid, deciding that they were instead going to compete at the Division 2 Mixed Ultimate Championships held last weekend. The brick is called, so the disc touched down out of bounds. Hazel Broadley will pick that one up and initiate play from the middle of the field, about 18 metres in front of her own end zone. But what an upset that tournament was. All the top 4 seeded teams ended up getting knocked out before the quarterfinal until we had that wonderful match between AUUC Flow and the Moau Mounties.
I think this year, though, seeding's been a bit rough with the break for a couple of years, and so many of those Div 2 teams had a big change in players. That was some nice movement to get that disc flowing by Hui, and now we've got Tom Curtis finding a nice break through the middle.
Great work, finds Connor Fleming midfield, back to Curtis, Broadly on the near side as an option.
Oh,
impressive bid, but it's not enough.
Back on the sideline for Huripuppers, looking for that break again. They're making good use of that inside forehand option.
And Curtis now far sideline finds Broadly, slowly chipping their way up. There's a lot of width of the field. The zone really trying to stop them from using as much of it as they can.
Tom Curtis again with the disc, looking for that hammer, looking at his options.
Big Ben Stiggers.
Oh.
Looks like an injury called on that reception. Look at the size of that man. It takes 3 players to lift him to his feet. All muscle. And judged on the heckling from his teammates, it's not all muscle, it's 90% muscle and 10% PEDs, but I wouldn't agree with that. So Swanson will take the substitution. So that same aggressive zone that we're seeing.
It's good to see Huripuppers starting to find some of the gaps though and work their way down the field a bit more.
But now as they get closer to their own defensive end zone, DMT seeking to close those gaps. We've got Rose Ursum and Callum Shimon on the mark.
Oh,
Shimon nice. With a touch, keeps it out of the hands of Swanson. Leg puts a big shot up. A lot of float underneath. And he's got it.
Nice chase there from Oliver Swanson, but not quite enough.
Brigitte Legg with a big shot goes up to Callum Shimon for the DMT score. 5-1 over Huripuppers. DMT have been a very, very powerful force in the growth of the South Island Ultimate scene. A couple of years ago when we had our Division 2 National Championships, they only just had a narrow loss to Equilibrium.
No, I think there are a lot of South Island players a bit heart-wrenched by that one. They're looking for the extra bid, but it's nice to see the South Island come out and top occasionally.
Absolutely, and that game was one fraught with a heck of a lot of wind. Teams were trading back-to-back breaks and managing to get those upwind breaks. Huge deal, really allowing you to pour a lot of defensive pressure and force your opponent to play against the wind, as we were saying before, how it has the effect of adding that additional defender. So really, really huge impact, but those teams were trading those same upwind, downwind breaks throughout the entire games, just almost by the flip of a coin that Equilibrium were able to come out on top. And from there, to anchoring themselves a spot in the Division 1 New Zealand Ultimate Championships is a huge, huge thing for such a new club. One of the interesting things, and a comment that I've heard about them quite often, Lydia, is that they really exemplify mixed ultimate. A lot of the teams here, particularly at the Div 1 stage, you'll see their handler core, typically male players. It's really nice to see that DMT, they're using those really strong ladies, Abby Liddell and Brigitte Legg, as those cornerstone anchor handlers.
Definitely. No, they definitely use those strong ladies, but you'll see them use all of their women really well, as cliched as that sounds. But it's absolutely awesome to see, particularly in a ultimate community that's a bit smaller and a bit more developing. To see they're starting it out with the right attitude is really awesome. No, and you can't forget Dunedin coming second, well, Otago University coming second at tertiary Nats this year, which was a bit of an upset for the Canterbury Badgers, but it was really awesome to see them fight it out against Auckland, and I think scared them at some points. But yeah, a lot of those same players here today.
Definitely, and so not only do they have that well-drilled connection that we saw them take to an impressive performance at the Tertiary Ultimate Championships, but that was a couple of months ago. That was towards the end of August. They've had 3 months of consistently training together to deepen those connections, to really get a good sense of each other's throwing range, each other's speed, what they can afford to give up on defense because they know that it's going to be covered by one of their teammates further downfield.
Yeah. Not to forget that a good amount of their core players have been playing together for at least a few years now. Whereas in places like Christchurch, sometimes we find core players switch clubs a bit, whereas these guys have been sticking it out together for a few years, which can only help.
So there is our pull from the DMT side. A lot of float if they're going to run down that zone again. They've got plenty of time to get it set up. Joel to Kajintiran.
It's looking more like a junk zone. Hard luck on the turn for Huripuppers.
So Huripuppers, Abby Liddell to pick up and initiate. Marked by Marson. Threads that same inside break.
Ooh.
Possibly overthrown, but there's enough float. That's going to be another score for DMT, going 6-1 over the Puppers. So Adler, by the looks, pulling down the score for DMT for that point. Some great work, but they're going to come out on defense yet again. So the score currently 6-1. Two points away from taking half in this game to 15. The last game of our stream coverage for the first day of the Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships here at Bob Dean's Field in what is becoming decreasingly sunny throughout the course of the day. We had a little bit of rain earlier on. Those changeable conditions, we've got some very, very dark and angry looking clouds slowly approaching from the right-hand side of your screen. We'll see whether or not this game can be put away before that comes in to really pack in the weather. Curtis with the disc.
Looking at those hammers. Nice.
Weber applying pressure on the disc.
There's some nice give and go looks.
Kajintiran works far sideline with Living. Back to Curtis. Liddell making herself available as an option on the near sideline.
I do like that the Puppers are making good use of stretching the downfield defense out quite a lot. I think their handlers are just figuring out how to get it to them at the moment.
And forced to go back for Curtis. So we are seeing a lot of handler movement, as you said. And I think that Huripuppers' offense.
Beautiful take.
Pippa Marson manages to keep that one inbound before bouncing off to Kajintiran.
And then to Kezia.
Kezia Chung. Right on the doorstep, has to go back to Curtis. But great work by the Huripuppers while focusing on the handler movement, making sure that the defense aren't given an opportunity to come too close in and apply more pressure to the desk.
Oh,
Curtis
another
with a big
hammer.
There it is. That's the score for Lachlan. Huripuppers put their second point on the board as we go 2-6. Huripuppers against DMT.
I think it's bold putting up the hammers in this one, but if you've got them, they're an easy way to get through a zone, aren't they?
Yeah, the two key ways that we typically talk about going through a zone is either back and forth across the front of it, forcing it to run as much as you can, really testing the legs of the defense. Once they get tired and they slow down, the openings start to become a lot more available. Or if you're Tom Curtis, just throw a hammer over the top.
Exactly.
And I mean, even starting as an indoor player, I think for me, hammers are a great option when there's no wind. Most players who transition from indoors to outdoors learn very, very quickly that there's a little bit of wind. You maybe want to holster that hammer for a hot second, but well done to Mr. Curtis for just saying, nah, I've got this, and just uncorking a hammer to crack over the top of that DMT zone.
And props to the receivers as well. I think as a downfielder, when the hammer goes up in the wind, it can be a bit scary watching that come in. Some of them can come in pretty hot and pretty fast.
One of the major downsides with those upside down, those bladey throws, that a greater face of the disc is exposed to the wind, which means even in a little bit of wind can have a huge impact on the movement of the disc, makes it a little bit harder to read.
Oh, that pull gets pushed out a bit early by the wind, I think. Bit of extra gust coming through now.
Yeah. So we are on the near sideline.
And it looks like Hugo Swinson to pick up.
So it looks like the disc is going to be bricked, so brought 18 meters in front of the end zone in the middle of the field. We are seeing Huripuppers set up a zone defense. We've got Becky Liddell covering the deep space. Hugo Swinson to leg, straight through the middle.
Nice.
To Abby Liddell.
Oh,
Great
that powerful
forehand.
forehand again. Whoosh.
Just kept off the grounds by Cooper.
And a nice patience.
Needing something to develop in the downfield. Swinson again. Goes wide to East Steele.
Swinson lining up for that dump. Provides some safe hands and then looking to attack up the line. And finding Abby Liddell back in the middle.
Putting a laser beam through to the back of the end zone for the DMT score, 7-2, 1 point away from half. Looks like Catherine Gregory for the score on that one, I think.
Abby Liddell truly is an incredible player. She's got those beautiful forehands that we've seen so far.
Even in these windy conditions, seeing how flat and smooth they flew, and just so fast and crisp to an open player at the end of the zone.
But pinpoint too. Nothing worse than a bullet being a bit off and then you don't have time to adjust to it.
Absolutely. It's quite often a balance between those two things. You want the disc to get to your receiver, but you want it with a bit of kindness on it. You want the disc to get there in a position where they're going to be able to catch it. And I think a lot of players err to one side in terms of making that. And so a lot of players throw it with a lot of touch. They have a lot of kindness on the disc, but it adds a bit much float and it gives too much time for the defense to get a play. And other players go the other way and they just go, I'm going to give you the hardest thing you've ever tried to catch, but it is going to get to you. And so to see at this level, such a young but competent handler who's got those throws and has them so confidently, to put a disc with kindness and speed straight to the receiver at the back of the end zone, really, really impressive to watch. So we see the signal for readiness from the Huripuppers. There's the pull.
Ooh.
High and to the far sideline. Looks like it's going to fade far to the right. Right next to the scoreboard. So that one is out of bounds.
Looks like Puppers are going to take it on the high side, which the wind is subsiding, but normally there's a little bit of advantage of being on the high side where the wind's coming from. You can put a disc up and it will carry it back in field.
Joel and Fleming and Curtis really working around that zone, supported by Broadley on the far sideline. Curtis trying to quarterback things in the downfield space a little bit. Chips away, wanting a long shot. It's not going to happen.
No, but he's willing to walk it down if he has to. Oh,
Edwin Rivers not able to pull that one down. A little bit too much blade on that throw.
Bid, though, from Edwin Rivers. Beautiful dedication.
And so now Huripuppers to come out on defense. DMT setting up in a vertical stack, trying to create channels down the near and far sidelines for them to attack. Broadley does a great job sagging off her defender, really pressuring that space, forcing the recenter to Liddell.
Oh, we've got one going deep, but it's not going to happen.
Braden Scott puts up a big backhand. And it's Tim Adler who keeps that one alive. Tries to thread it through for the score, but he's not able to do it.
Oh.
Joel with the blade. Never actually came back in bounds.
I like the idea of going before the defense sets up, but sometimes with those throws on the low side, they're just tricky.
Absolutely, and with those blades really trying to cut through the air, it does expose a lot of disc face to the wind, which in this case didn't help, as we've got a bit of a cross breeze from the far side of your screen to the near side. And so it just pushed the disc just outside. When it touched down, it was out of bounds, and so the disc will return to the first place that it crossed the playing field boundary.
We've got Graydon Scott swinging it through. Oh, toes it in.
Svitanovic for the assist. What a great throw. A great score there for DMT as they take half. The score currently 8-2. So we will be back for the thrilling conclusion of this match. The second half, still anybody's game. We have seen 6-point deficits be eaten up before by a team hungry in the second half. But until then, my name is Blair Monroe.
And my name's Lydia Smith.
And supported by ULTI.TV, we will be back with you soon.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
And we are back for the second half of the final match of our stream coverage for the 2022 Division 1 Mixed Ultimate Championships here at Bob Dean's Field in Christchurch. My name is Blair Monroe.
And my name is Lydia Smith.
And we are just about to start off the second half between DMT, the mixed team, and Huripuppers from Wellington. DMT currently up by 6, an impressive performance in the first half of the game. Huripuppers a little bit on the back foot, but still a very, very competent side. They've shown that they've got depth. They've shown they've got consistency. They've got patience. But just at the moment, the fire isn't quite there. They need to make some change if they really want to match up against this DMT side, who are putting in an impressive performance on the first day of our 3-day tournament. What are some of your highlights from the first half, Lydia?
I think it's been pretty impressive how cleanly Dunedin will punish Huripuppers once the disc does turn. So many times it goes in within a couple of passes. Sorry there, we just had a player check in with us.
But it's all right, no injuries to report, thankfully.
Looks like a little bit of a slow start on the line. Means I think they're calling a zone, so it'll be interesting which zone look we get now. We've definitely seen a few different shapes up the front. We've seen a bit of a cup, bit of an arrowhead, and more matchy junk style.
That is one of the benefits of being on offense. When you see that your opposition are taking a little bit of time to call a line and start the point, does indicate there's a bit more communication happening. They might be trying to throw down a structured defense. And with the wind playing the way it is, it's not a bad call. A huge pull goes up. It's fading to the far sideline. Touches down inbounds, fielded by Joel. Tips off the hands of Kajentiran on the reset. Not a great start to the second half for DMT. Oh, for Huripuppers, sorry. A great start to the half for DMT. Leg supported by Liston.
Oh,
but Marson,
awesome defense.
Marson with the block, quick reset to Curtis. Curtis firing long for Edwin Rivers in the end zone. It's called out.
Tries to jump it in.
Kajentiran on a great option, but it's too floaty. Heartbreak as Liston manages to secure it. A long field ahead of them.
In the magic hat there.
Could very well be a case of the hat doing the hard work.
Yeah.
Good touch by DeRuyter, but it looks like there may be a call on that, a possible strip. So the DMT offender feels as though they had sustained control of the disc, and then DeRuyter's contact knocked it out of their hand. So it looks like we're gonna. Yep.
It's gonna be contested. So it looks like the players couldn't come to a conclusion.
And so the disc will go back to the last uncontested play. So just a reminder for those watching at home, Ultimate is a self-officiated sport. You won't see any referees here in our fields. It is the player's responsibility to learn the rules, to make calls and to resolve them between themselves on the field as amicably as possible. So Edwin Rivers to check the disc in. Liston resets to leg, puts a big forehand up. Marson gets it again, but Kajintiran is the one who secures it.
Curtis picks it up quickly.
Two great blocks from Pippa Marson this point alone. Joel centers to Rivers. Big forehand up to De Ruyter. Rivers to Curtis, a big fake to try and shift the defense.
Oh,
Huge blade comes off the hand of De Ruyter.
that one looked like it went where it needed to go, but it looked like it came in very hot. and very
That was
quick.
definitely an indoor throw, I think. The quick, snappy blade forehand to just try and chip past the defense, but recognizing conditions are not optimal for those. East Steele's going deep.
Oh,
Comes off the hands of East Steele. The shadow pressure from Kajintiran enough to generate a turn. Huripuppers with the possession, hoping to work back the other way.
so we have Curtis walking it back in. I guess that is one of the differences between Huripuppers and DMT. DMT has got a huge depth in their handler space, and they seem to have different players working it pivotally at each offense set, but we do see Curtis doing a lot of the work for Puppers at this stage.
Trying to fire that inside break, generates a turn that allowed DMT to swing back the other way. Liston with the disc.
I think that's the third turn of...
It's the Marson's third block in this point alone. Putting a huge amount of work in. Kajintiran can't do it. 2 bids I think he had on that one, but it wasn't quite enough. Leg with a left-handed forehand.
Ooh, good hand try.
Cooper snatching away from Kajintiran. De Ruyter with a block, shutting down that reset. Some great defensive pressure by Rivers as well, making that an option. Huripuppers to pick up. To the surprise of no one, it is Mr. Curtis.
Looking straight for his swing.
Joel with the disc. Pops one over the top to Curtis. Back
We
to
have the
Joel on the
match
near
calls for
sideline.
DMT.
There's the big forehand. Looking for Kajintiran, but Cooper's in front.
Oh,
Cooper shuts it down. That's no score for the Huripuppers, although it looks like, nope, no call made. That was a clean play. Liston has it marked by Rivers. Shoots through to leg.
it is nice seeing our handlers realise they've got the time to take a breath and let the downfield, but no, Huripuppers is aggressive on defence at this point. Rivers getting in there. Curtis to back to Rivers.
Right on the doorstep. That's the forehand you want.
That's what we've been looking for.
Amen. Sabrina Amen with the score for Huripuppers, taking them back within 5. The score currently 8-3 in favour of the Dunedin mixed team.
And that was a nice amount of love on that disc from Rivers.
Absolutely, yeah. What a beautiful throw that was. We've talked a little bit about how important it is to have that sort of sense of kindness on the disc, the float. And that was a really well-weighted throw just up the sideline, allowing Amin to run comfortably onto it for a score, a necessary score for that Huripuppers team. So hearing from the far side, from the right-hand side of your screen where the Huripuppers are setting up the defense, a little inside knowledge for you, those watching at home, but we'll keep it quiet so the DMT players don't hear us. They are looking to call an arrowhead on this point. So that's what we can expect to see. So we'll have 3 players up the front, 1 player at the center of that line of 3 chasing the disc back and forth across the field, the other 2 hanging off that player's shoulders to stop, basically to stop anything moving up the center of the field and really force the offense to use the width.
The idea being there that with this wind, you can throw it sideways a lot of times, but you are eventually likely to make a mistake.
Absolutely. No one is 100. You can be you can be pretty good 100% of the time. You can be perfect most of the time, but you can't be perfect all the time. And so forcing those passes back and forth across the field, the more passes you make, the more opportunities you have for an error to slip in.
Oh, Still find a little gap in the middle. Beautiful hands by Abby Liddell. Looking for that hammer.
Crossfield hammer to Svitanovic, kept in. Finds Swinson with a nice little chip pass. Swanson on the mark. Svitanovic far sideline. Back to Swinson, the wind starting to pick up a little bit. Liddell stepping back to make herself a safer option.
Nice forehand to get out of there. Back to Liddell. Huripuppers do seem to stop Dunedin's flow a little bit here. Just outside the end zone.
It's only about 15 meters or so left to play, really. Swinson starting to get a little bit more active, maybe getting a little bit impatient. Swanson flashes across to try and shut down the reset, but it's not going to be enough. Swinson puts a big one up. A little bit too high for Thomas Chappell to reel in. Joel, Becky Liddell in the handler space.
Marked by Abby Liddell.
Nice little system matchup, but Swanson gets it far sideline, puts up the huge forehand. A lot of chase, a lot of heart, but also a lot of ground left to make up. It's not going to come away. DMT will get the disc. A long field yet ahead of them. And in wins like this, it's not going to be a 1 or 2 pass offense for the score. And so, as we were saying before, and as you were saying as well, Lydia, that's what the defense is looking to do. Force a lot of passes, because you only need them to make one mistake. Swinson to Chappell. Back to Swinson, far sideline.
Oh, nice little gap in the middle there.
Ursum a little bit static in the downfield, looking to stretch. But in this win, probably not the most beneficial strategy.
It's a beautiful take from Weber. Back to Liddell.
There's the Abby Liddell forehand we were hoping to see.
Very close to the ground. We've got a Huripupper cooling it down, but we've got a discussion.
And so, like I was telling you before, the only thing better than a commentator being exactly correct is a commentator being exactly wrong. I was saying Ursum stretching that deep space, maybe not the most useful thing, but what happens? Abby Liddell uncorks a monster of a forehand. Unfortunately, looks like that call will be upheld. That is going to be possession for Huripuppers. It's an important lesson to be learned for those watching at home, those getting started in the sport. That's a Callahan. Scoring a point for DMT off a Huripupper throw. What a huge heads-up play for the DMT defense. Some great work as they go 9-3 over Huripupper. But a second opportunity to learn the same lesson, the importance of attacking the disc. Ursum could have taken a couple of extra steps forward. She would have had possession. Maybe would have had to make another throw for the score, but that would have been all right. And then the flip side is, again, Huripuppers attacking that disc with more aggression. It's going to stop those opportunities for defender to slip right in and jump a score in to put it on the board.
I think that's definitely one of the first things you learn about Ultimate in terms of aggression is you don't want to be outright aggressive, but being aggressive and attacking that disc, you can save yourself from a lot of turns, but also get a lot of turns, I think. Particularly, yeah. But also conceding, having to take those few steps back and throw that extra throw. It's better to do that than have to get the turn.
Absolutely. Like the thing I've always said to any team I've been a part of is that possession of the disc is more important than your position of the field, and possession of the disc is more important than a point. If you have the disc in hands, you can score. If the disc hits the grass, you can't.
Yeah. Then there's no guarantee that you'll get it back.
Absolutely. So DMT with a nice high pull, but with the wind, it's going to catch the front edge and touch it down inside their own defensive zone. So less of the field for Huripuppers to work up if they want to put this point away. Tom Curtis to pick up and initiate. We are going to see a zone defense from DMT. Curtis working with Kajintiram, but he puts the big forehand up for Swanson, comfortably in zone to put a point on the board.
Good to see Curtis giving it a little bit more kindness on that throw.
I think he's probably learned his lesson after those first few, and that's exactly what you want to see in an ultimate player at this level. If they make mistakes, that's okay. Are they aware enough to learn from them? And I think that Curtis has displayed that kind of maturity in this game. Those first couple of shots, they were bladey forehands, maybe some indoor throws. He's taken stock. He said, right, those aren't working. What changes do I have to make so that I can better play to my teammates?
Yeah, and I think you can see that disc was a lot flatter, which probably makes it a little bit more pleasant to catch. And it gives the wind a bit less surface to attack.
So that is exactly what Huripuppers need to keep them in the game. DMT up by 5. The DMT offense to come out. Leg, Liddell, Free, Cooper, Liston. Curtis with the disc for the pull. Oh.
I've had a few of those, and it's always fun running up to the line and looking for the disc and realising it's still in your teammates' hands. In the past, it's been because the players run in front of the puller, which is not a great position to stand in.
Liddell and Leg as DMT look to set up out of a vertical stack. Slowly transitioning to a horizontal to face down the DMT zone.
Oh, that one's a bit high, but Liston brings it in.
Swanson applying a lot of pressure, supported by Living and Broadly on the mark. Leg tries to thread one up through the middle of the field. Touches turf. Curtis resets to Joel.
Curtis looking to get it back again.
Bit of a curly inside out. Break forehand there, but enough float that Living can get it. Huge fake. Sees Curtis with the disc again.
Becky Liddell cutting through the middle, offering up a swing option.
Finds Broadly on the far sideline, puts up a huge forehand.
That was a nice look to toe it in by the Huripapa player.
But Kalai Chalvan's not able to reel that one in. And this is the interesting thing. We talked a little bit about how DMT are really a mixed team. They're making a great job of using their ladies. Joel with the catch. That's an intercept. Huripapa with possession. A huge fake gets Cooper to turn his head. Finds Liddell far sideline. Back to Curtis. There's the hammer. Reeled in for the score. That's Swanson with the point. Huripuppers go 5. But we noticed before that Becky Liddell was wide open on that near sideline, in line or a little bit ahead of the thrower.
I wasn't going to say it, but I would have liked to see the disc go to her.
Absolutely, it's mixed ultimate, and I think that that's one of the perils that you tend to find with some teams. Definitely not with DMT, who are doing a great job. I think Ethos as well. Like a lot of the sort of the southern teams are doing a really good job of making sure that their women are brought up alongside the male matching players. Equilibrium as well in Wellington, I think, does a really good job of utilizing its ladies. But that's the key thing. Recognize that when your ladies are unmarked, you should be giving them the disc. There was probably an unnecessary force backwards to a marked male player.
A really tight throw.
And then having to work the far sideline on a high stall count and basically giving up a little bit of position from that.
Yeah.
But they were able to walk away with the score, which I think is one of the important things.
I think, yeah, it is hard because sometimes handlers, when they feel like they are carrying teams and having to get every second pass, they can get tunnel vision for certain players that they've been popping it off consistently. But yeah, you do have to keep looking at your whole team.
Absolutely, and I think it's an interesting thing as well when you see particularly as this being the last real event of our mixed season here, we move into the open and women's season. You tend to find that a lot of male players do tend to develop a lot more connections with their with players that they're playing with in both seasons. And that's why there are quite a lot of players who only prefer playing mixed. They don't want to give up that that sort of the spirit of equality that allows them to play to their ladies as much as their men. But we've got East Steele on the near sideline, facing down an aggressive zone by the Huripuppers side.
DMT not making a huge amount of ground so far, but there we go. There's this shot through the middle, cleaned up by
Matthew Whitaker.
Ooh,
Tried to force it, but Living says not today. Immediately moving to a more advantageous position downfield where he hopes to beat his one-on-one matchup against Hugo Swinson.
had a few cutters going into that space. Oh, that's another killer hand.
What a play by the DMT defense, just seeing that wide swing by Joe. Right across the front of the end zone. Wide open channel to run through. A great score for DMT to go back up by 5. So DMT to come out on defense after a great showing on that point. Altenberg carry for that Callahan.
Curtis looking to move that disc quickly.
But that pace seems to be their downfall as it bobbles off the hands of Oliver Swanson. DMT with a great opportunity to push past the first double-digit barrier.
Ooh. I think that's one of the few we've seen that they haven't been able to clinically execute.
Was a great line drive by Liddell, but just outside the intended receiver's hands. So Huripuppers will have another chance. We are seeing a zone defense from DMT again. It's worked really well for them so far.
Oh.
Curtis with a great bid to try and keep it alive, but it's not going to be enough. We're right on the doorstep of a DMT score. Liddell calling for a bit of space. We're going to see the DMT players all push to one side of the field to try and isolate those individual matchups. Leg goes for it. Fires one through to Liddell for the score. DMT go to 11 over the Huripuppers 5.
When a player like Liddell decides to take off like that, you know as a defender you're in trouble.
And really, that's exactly what DMT should have done in that situation. Recognize that they're going to have a matchup that they can exploit. Even in Div 1, even with the Ultimate as competitive as it is, there's always going to be a matchup. And it might be a margin of a couple of millimeters, half a second. But if you've got it and you're that close to the end zone, calling an isolation like that, like seeing Liddell strike straight up line in front of the thrower, it's really, really great too, because you've got a player like Leg who can just float it out in front of them, and it creates a really wide path of the disc for Liddell to run onto. She knows she's got the separation on that cut. It's a really, really secure way to play a possession like that. So great work by DMT.
And we love to see DMT sticking with their mixed ultimate. Women pick up to a woman receiver.
I've just been informed some of our comments about which team's the best at using their ladies. All of a sudden, my messenger inbox is absolutely full with people saying, hey, we use our ladies too.
It's very easy to say you do.
And the question is, Lydia, is whether or not teams are displaying it as well as DMT are today.
Exactly.
Marcin not able to secure that one. She's done an amazing job on defense for this Huripuppers side. Leg puts a left-handed forehand up. Chips through to Weber. The big shot, it's blading down. A little bit fast, overthrown past the receiver, so Huripuppers have an opportunity now to work back upfield.
We again see the effect of that wind. I imagine that throw would be a lot easier without the crosswind. It will carry it a little bit further and a little bit faster. We have Swinson walking up to the line, and the hut goes up, but it doesn't quite sit.
So, yeah, definitely started to roll back towards the far sideline. Do you think anyone got a hand on that, or was that just the wind?
I think it was just the wind. Those forehands are hard to stabilise in this wind.
Svetanovic with a great forehand to Liddell, who follows up with one of her own, and it's just slightly over the top of Sam Middleton's reach. I think as DMT approach the 15-point mark necessary to win the game, they've maybe started to loosen up a little bit. They're throwing longer options, which are questionable in this wind. Huge intercept by Tim Adler.
And Swinson gets, no.
Swanson responds with one of his own. Nicole Smith right on the doorstep to Joel. Great attempt, good vision seeing Swanson in that space, but the edge on that throw, a little less than ideal, giving the disc back to DMT. Looks like a timeout has been called, possibly. It's a little unclear. Definitely a stoppage of some sort. Okay, that is our confirmation. A timeout has been called. Veteran call as they take possession. Just as the point's going a little bit long, it's going to give an opportunity for both teams to consolidate, to think about what is and isn't working, or what they're really hoping to get out of the next few minutes of Ultimate in terms of this possession.
No, definitely. I think it'll give Dunedin a time to take the breath and return to that slightly more clinical offense that we were seeing earlier, and really take their time with their throws in this wind. Conversely, it will probably give Huripuppers time to think about their zone, think about what they're expecting from Dunedin. I think timeouts can be as much of a mind game as a nice little break.
Yeah, the timing of a timeout is huge. You can really shut down the momentum of a team that's got back-to-back points. If you're being pressured too much by the defense, calling a timeout can let you call a called play or a set play. You recognize what the defense is going to try and do based on how they've been playing throughout the point and try and think of something specific to break it down. But we will be back with you very soon to see what the result of this timeout is in the very exciting final match of the day, the fourth match of our stream schedule for the 2022 Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships, brought to you by ULTI.TV. And we are back. The score currently 11-5 in favor of DMT over Huripuppers from Wellington. Just after a timeout, DMT to take possession, Abby Liddell with the disc. Looks like they are going to set up in a bit of a horizontal stack, trying to use the width of the field in terms of their handler isolation movements, but also stretch the depth a little bit if that's an option. We've seen Liddell and Legg and a couple of the other handlers have really comfortable 35, 40-meter forehands in these conditions. They've been able to drive up that sideline quite comfortably, and we'll see how they respond to the Huripuppers zone.
Seeing them move it to the other sideline, and again, those throws that we just talked about.
But Joel made a play. Looks like there's no call made.
It is always good as a player to take that moment and think, because you can think afterwards, actually that was a call. So giving yourself a moment to take a breath and think about it is. And back the disco straight back up.
Yeah, classic Huck and D. So players taking advantage of those long shots, and really considering that the structure of the Huripuppers zone is already set, that's not a bad call. Send the disc back, apply that pressure up the front. We know we've got Swanson and Broadley really pressuring that disc.
Ooh,
Liddell puts one up. It looks like
called
someone might have
for.
got a touch to it.
Oh,
Joel puts it up and makes sure that that block is secure. And we will see what's he going to do. Are they just going to send it straight back? Joel sends another one long. Looking for Swanson's got it just outside the end zone. Who's there as support? Marson gets it. Pippa Marson putting in huge amounts of work for the Huripuppers side. We've seen a number of blocks from this player and now add a score to her stat sheet. Some great work. Huripuppers bringing it back within 4. Amazing to see.
It has been some beautiful play from her today, and it is a good demonstration of how valuable mixed ultimate can be.
Curtis with the disc to pull for Huripuppers as they come to start this point off on defense. Steele, Altenburg carry. Gregory, Swinson, Scott for the DMT offense.
And we have the disc coming up.
Huge pull, but it looks like it might be... No, fading back towards center field. A great pull by Tom Curtis. Scott and Swinson trying to work it up.
Some movement straight away. And up goes that hammer. If
Hammer
Tom
for
Curtis
Whittaker.
can do it, so can I, he says.
Great reception there by Whittaker. Back to Kazuki Steele. Swinson, Scott far side.
Ooh.
The nice big forehand up. Living can't get it, but Joel can. That's a turn. We go back. Huripuppers the other way.
It's a very early deep cut from Rivers. And a pop over the top, but I'm not quite sure who it was intended for.
Yeah, trying to hit some open space, but I think maybe the Huripuppers receivers all recognized it was open and were leaving it for someone else. Steele has the disc now, facing down the Huripuppers zone. Nice shot across the near side to Altenburg Carey. Great defensive touch. It's not enough. That's going to be a score. DMT 12 points to the Huripuppers 6. That's Lilybell Sawyer with the score. Great cut across the front of the end zone. Just enough separation to pop a disc through. Putting a point on the board. Taking them 3 away from winning this match.
Quite an interesting, I think that was the inside-out backhand there, but it was really aggressively angled, but still managed to have time. You can actually see it curve, so
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Absolutely, and a throw like that under other circumstances, maybe a little bit less dialed in, would have probably just come straight up and dropped back down to the turf, but it had just that little bit of stability, that time for Sawyer to run on to the disc. And so DMT on defense. The wind starting to pick up, starting to get a little bit colder. A little bit jealous of these players getting the opportunity to run around on such a stage.
Oh, I don't know, some of those singlets look pretty cold.
Nice long pull, pushes right to the front of the end zone. Joel and Curtis.
Huripuppers looking to move it quickly.
There's that blade.
No.
Again in the wind, touches down just a little bit too early. Patricia's not able to get that one in hand. So Huripuppers to sit out their defense one more time. Swanson on the mark. Gajentiran trying to pressure the reset. Ben Weber. Scott with the disc.
Looking straight to centre.
Manages to shift the mark. Leg now.
Swanson's got a bit on that, and we have O'Loughlin.
Nice little cheeky mac back to O'Loughlin.
And
Gajentiran's going deep. Pressured by Weber. No call made. Great play by Weber.
I think my tailbone feels a little bit sore after seeing that.
Great undercut there. Leg threads one through. Finds free. Comes up the sideline towards Chapel. Looks like a call's made. So Curtis with the interception, but a call been made on the play, so a foul call.
Yeah.
So just as we wait for these players to resolve the call. And the longer the conversation goes on, the early timidity in explaining the call disappears. Tensions rise a little bit. It is a hotly contested game. There really are only a few points in it, all things considered, despite the lead held by DMT.
It looks like it's going to be contested. I think it was looking like there wasn't going to be an agreement there.
So the disc will go back to Chapel, the last uncontested possession. The call from the sideline. DMT wants a big hammer, although not sure who it's going to go to.
Yeah.
Looks back, resets to Weber, finds Scott.
We know Scott will throw the hammer if someone sets themselves up, but
Legs cutting deep for it. She's got the separation. It's not coming. Weber a little bit frozen. Yep.
Swings it.
Big line drive to Chapel.
Ooh.
Low
Not quite
shot up
enough
that
set
far
on that
sideline.
disc.
Curtis and the Huripuppers quick to initiate. O'Loughlin back to Curtis. Kajintiran hoping to develop a deep cut, but he's pressured by Free in the deep space.
Swings it back to Swanson and across to Curtis. Again, looking to get around that zone, but I don't think they're getting the options on the wings at quite the right time.
They are, and that is one of the key things with competitive ultimate is that
Ooh.
great,
I like
great
that
look.
look.
Yeah, there was a hole in the zone there. Curtis saw that D. Ryder was in position, but he wasn't able to execute the throw.
But good defense from Curtis to get it back.
Yep. It's always nice to see moments like that. You see a player who maybe has an execution error, but they're the ones who really pour on the pressure. Joel puts it through.
That was a
Kajintiran.
low huck, but it made it through.
Back to Curtis.
Back to
Joel
Curtis.
and Curtis, yep.
Got Swanson out there.
D. Ryder's an option. Hanging
Swanson
a little bit in the
drives
space.
forward.
Yep.
This is some nice play by Swanson, basically walking up the field for the team. Oh,
Just off the tips of the bidding O'Loughlin. Bit of a heartbreak throw, that one. Really nice patience to move the disc up the field. Swanson taking that time to really center the offense around himself.
an excellent space from Anna as well.
But now we see them playing out on defense. Sticking to a match defense. Harrison Free, Graydon Scott swapping places. Free to take over as a reset handler option. Scott as an initiation cutter. We got Weber with the disc, marked by Joel. Back to Weber.
It is an interesting discussion in a game where zones are so advantageous. Whether you set up the zone even if you're not running down on defense, or you just stick to that match. So we have Curtis picking it up again.
A nice attempt at a line drive by Leg, but the little edge on the disc means it touches turf. Curtis marked by Weber. Gives up the around to Swanson in the center field.
Nice space.
Joel back to Swanson. Swanson with a big high forehand, blading back towards the far sideline.
Oh,
D. Ryder's got it. Threads one
Yes.
through to Patricia for the score.
I think that was some great offensive play from Swanson at that point. I think he really moved the disc around his players really well, and that put was beautiful.
Absolutely reeled in by one of the tallest players on the Huripuppers side. Couple of quick shimmies to shift the mark, create an opening for Isia Patricia to run across and put the score on the board. Huripuppers back within 5, the score 12-7 in favor of DMT.
I think it's also exciting to see different players dominating in the handler space too a bit. I don't know if that's because maybe Dunedin's been marking Curtis a bit tighter and Swanson's been opening up, or...
Absolutely, and that is one of the a little tip from the pros here in the commentary booth for those of you watching at home. The shortcut for your first couple of games is really look at who's getting the most touches on the disc. So, as you pointed out, Lydia, Huripuppers, they were quite centering their offense around Curtis and Joel and Swanson. And now, with the great pressure from the DMT defense, we're forcing more of those players to come through, and it's really forcing us to up our game and make sure we know everybody's names.
Swings it early.
Svetanovic back to Swinson. Liddell far sideline against the Huripuppers zone. Liston's calling for it in the midfield on the near sideline. Cvetanovic.
You do see a calmness with the Dunedin handlers where they're looking downfield, surveying their handlers for a moment or two, and then straight back to their reset. But they trust their reset to be there and they know that they can hit it.
So some nice back and forth play between Swinson and Liddell, but Cvetanovic calls for it on the near sideline, working with Liston. Back to Liddell. Liston's an option. Not getting looked at. Liddell drops one off to Cvetanovic, to Swinson, back to Cvetanovic. All the way back across the Swinson. We're getting some really good communication from the Huripuppers sideline, providing information to those zone defenders.
Absolutely crucial. As a zone player, you can easily miss one or not fully see the biggest threat.
Yeah, great find by Cvetanovic there to find Liston on the near sideline, threading all the way through. But again, the Huripuppers are really reactive zone. Great score there by DMT.
That score was entirely of patience working it up the field. They were happy to pause every now and then, swing it around, wait for the next option.
And recognizing how the defense were filling holes but creating other gaps, and really good information being fed from the sideline towards the Huripuppers zone, recognizing when players were and weren't threats and allowing their defenders to leave a player who isn't in a dangerous spot on the field to go pick up something that's a bit more threatening. So really, really great pressure defense there. But as you say, it's the DMT patient offense that was allowing them to work backwards and forwards. And really, if we were to draw a path of the disc backwards and forwards across the field, you'd almost see it just zigzagging backwards and forwards, only taking 2, 3, 4 meters upfield with each full pass across the width. But that's exactly the kind of patient, calm offense that allows a team like DMT to put these points on the board.
Definitely. No, I think I've heard there are 2 ways to go through a zone. You can go through the middle or around the outside. And a lot of the time the safest thing to do is go around the outside, and that does involve swinging it back and forwards to each very edge.
DMT with a big pull, but it's arrested a little in the wind, falls a bit short than some of their previous performances. Curtis to pick up. Looks like we're playing match defense. Sam Middleton with the block. Huge defensive play from the DMT side, giving the disc back to Cvetanovic. Curtis pressuring Estiel. Great bid by Joel. An amazing bid by Joel. It looked like the bid was made before Callum Shimon was near the disc, but just that little flash in front of the eyes was enough to have it bounce through his hands for a turn. So that's what Huripuppers want. Curtis to pick up just within the red zone.
We do see some nice early hard cuts from Huripuppers. Their downfielders are going to work here. Looking back to Curtis. Uses his fully long arms to get that one.
Rivers has it just in bounds, so close. Nearly fell out of the playing area. Recenters to Joel. Finds
Nice
Curtis on the
to-
cross cut.
Is that a hand block?
I think that must have been a hand block. Curtis attempting to quickly pass the disc off, throws straight into the hands of Kazuki Estiel for a great point block. Leg fires a backhand up the far side. Estiel has it. Low backhand. Straight into the hands of
And
Callum
Abby
Shimon.
Liddell takes that in.
Sam Middleton back to Liddell. You can tell she wanted to throw the hammer.
Maybe she should have.
A great attempt, the inside-out backhand, curving low, hoping it'll stabilize out in the wind, but it looks like Joel's able to get a hand to that one.
Such a nice low pivot as well.
It was a really pretty throw in conditions with a little bit less wind. That would have been the perfect throw. Come in with the disc to Rivers, centre field. Shimon on the mark, but he can't stop the disc getting to Curtis on the far sideline. Who's pressuring it deep?
Rivers is chasing hot. And whoa,
great touch by Liddell.
Oh, it's got to hurt.
That one would sting. What a great chase and a great bid. Really, really clean play by Rivers to recognize running a parallel course opposed to being behind Liddell on that one. Hoping to sort of go up to the same height and reach out across to grab the disc. Wasn't able to do it, but was able to touch it off the block and keep it in hands for the score. Huripuppers on 8, DMT on 13. And so we're going to see just a little bit of a conversation between Shimon and Joel on the field after that bid before. There was no call made, but I think they probably just wanted to make sure that they kind of understand each other's perspective when the tension of that moment has dissipated, which is really a nice display of spirit there.
Definitely. I think that is such a crucial part of a self-lift game, is being able to go back to a player and check that you are happy, and yes, it's an intense game, but you're not taking it out on each other.
So Huripapa is off a couple of nice points, had a couple of good breaks so far. They're going to come down on defense again. DMT might need to make a few changes to the way that they're playing, because the defensive pressure being applied by Huripuppers is generating those turns and they're able to convert off them. The wind definitely picking up. It's going to help the pull, carry long. It was high and towards the far sideline, but it still curved back towards the near sideline out of bounds.
I think that's one of the longer pulls we've seen so far, though, with this wind.
So that disc is going to be bricked, so taken to the middle of the field. We're going to see DMT set up in a horizontal stack. They're going to try and keep the deep space open for players to test those long shots.
Scott receiving it backwards. Downfield's working hard, but it doesn't seem to be happening.
Swinson manages to escape. Joel gets the reset.
And nice, completely open.
Tim Adler with the disc to Weber. Scott, far sideline, 7-on-7. Scott puts the big shot up. Swinson might be underneath it.
Ooh.
That would have been one heck of a grab if he'd made it cleanly. So it's important for those players to have that discussion. All right, no call made. Would have been an impressive play by Swinson, but Joel had the greater positioning.
Definitely.
And so looking to reinitiate. Kajintiran has the disc now, centre field. Looking for Broadley for the reset. Finds Becky Liddell, works towards the far sideline. Swanson.
Over to Kezia now with the disc.
A low shot straight into the hands of the DMT defender.
Those Ds have got to hurt. That was coming in like a bullet.
Could hear it from all the way over here. A great dive grab. Huge work by Sawyer, but not able to close that point out. Huripuppers to initiate. Hazel Broadley gets the disc. Kajintiran has it now, marked by Weber, back to Broadley. Huge shot, but it's fading.
So close to getting that one too, Becky Liddell.
Now, but Lilybell Sawyer puts the pressure on. It's not going to come away. Adler, Scott, Weber trying to work the disc downfield.
Ooh.
Straight through the middle past Swanson.
Lovely bid from
Ursum. Great bid by Ursum to try and keep that one in hand. Joel lets it rip, but it's fading towards the near sideline.
Hot chase.
Great chase by Chung. Trying to keep a good line to be in position for when the disc faded back, but it's not going to be enough. DMT to work back the other way. Scott has it near sideline. You can tell he wants to wind up the forehand.
Starts looking central. Oh, that was
Wants
a
to
nice
reset
move.
to Weber, but it's not going to work. Kajintiran has it.
Back over
Finds
to
Chung
Kezia.
again.
No, this is a different handler look from Huripuppers. We've got Hazel, Kezia,
And Jackson Joel.
back there.
Yeah, and what a great thread through to Isaac Living. Huripuppers on 9, DMT on 13. The first few points of this game, unfortunately, weren't caught on stream. The tension, the atmosphere was too electric. It short-circuited some of our equipment. So you missed the first few points where DMT looked to be walking away with this game, but it's HP Huripuppers in the second half who are really pouring on the pressure. We've seen break after break after break to bring it back to a 4-point game, down from what was at one point, I believe, a 6 or 7 point deficit.
It was definitely 7-1 at one point, which can be quite an intimidating scoreline for a team to look up against.
But it has not slowed the Huripuppers down at all. They are still fighting. Every single point is available. Every single pass is contestable. It's amazing to see. Curtis with the pull for Huripuppers. Curtis lets it rip. Touches
Leaves
down
it
at the
in
feet.
middle of the field.
Leg to Liston. Far sideline to Free, puts a big shot up. This one's for you, Mum, says Harrison.
Ooh.
And it's caught. It's good.
Took a few goes, but she reined it in.
Well done to Rose Ursum. What a reception from a great put by number 444 for DMT, Harrison Free, who dedicates that one to his mum. A great put to bring DMT within 1 point of walking away with the win.
They just cleanly moved that down the sideline with such speed there. They found their way around the zone and were not going to be stopped.
And great pressure by the deep defender as well to get a hand to it, but Ursum underneath it, that's as good as a point scored. And so for what they hope will be the last time DMT to come out on defense. Liddell with the disc. Scott. Weber. Leg facing off against Curtis. Rivers. Broadly for the Huripuppers side.
That was a very crisp, flat pull from Abby Liddell. Curtis with the disc, Rivers going long, but
It's a great combination, but it's not going to come off this time. And there's the hooter for our cap as well. But by this point, we're playing to 15 regardless. Broadly gets the reset. Works through to find Curtis.
Oh,
Puts a
and
big
there
shot
it
up
goes
looking for
to
Rivers. He's chasing. A layout grab. And that's
Gushing.
got to be a score. Out the back of the end zone.
I think it came out of his hands when he landed. but I'm
What
not
a
sure.
heartbreak. Either way, a great chase by Edwin Rivers and a huge layout bid, hoping to put a point on the board for the Huripuppers. It is not meant to be. Not on that position anyway. But that is the turn that DMT need if they want to close out this game right now. Sitting up in a vertical stack. Abby Liddell is the deepest player. We're going to see her try and take a couple steps deep, push
And
hard
we have
underneath.
Becky Liddell trying to stop her.
The disc
Oh,
is
it
too
goes up
high.
but
Scott manages to keep it in position. Back Liddell.
She's looking long.
Chapel wanted to make himself an option. Leg is the reset.
Oh,
Comes off the hands of Simmons. Great position though, great undercut there.
Curtis heading towards the disc. And I think that Hazel and Rivers cutting under.
Rivers has it now. Fires
Shooting
one
out to
through.
Kezia. Oh, with the hammer. Oh,
A great look, but the defensive pressure is just too much.
can you tell that Tom Fraser had a little bit of help coaching her originally?
Yeah, I suppose you could say that.
The Tom Fraser nasty motto of the hammers.
A great line drive, touches down a little bit low. We've actually had Tom Fraser on stream earlier today. Picking up for Canterbury, actually, the Australian side.
Oh, that'd be fun.
It was a good game. He certainly played the way you'd expect Tom Fraser to play. Huripuppers with possession now. Curtis on an up line, takes it a little bit easy. The reset gets overthrown to Broadley.
Is this going to be
DMT.
the last position of the game?
DMT right on the doorstep. Shimon to leg to Scott.
And we've got Liddell very open.
Legs got it right on the edge. Big
And
hammer.
the hammer! Oh,
Huge bid, but it's
Wanted
not
to
going to
finish
be
with a hammer.
enough. Great aggressive play. Would have been a fantastic way to finish the game,
would have been impressive.
but the possession is going back to Huripuppers. Tom Curtis to pick up. A little bit of Liddell on Liddell, gentle roasting. Chung cutting under as an option, goes through to Rivers instead. Tom Curtis again,
Back.
lets
And
a
up
big
it
shot
goes.
rip. Looking for O'Loughlin. Pulls it down just outside of the, no, that's called in. O'Loughlin.
I think that's her third point of the game at least.
Sounds about right. O'Loughlin helping Huripuppers break double digits as they come back within 4. 14-10 currently in favor of DMT. The DMT offensive line only need one more point to finish out this game and the first day of our stream schedule. Huripuppers with an opportunity for an upset. It's not a very wide gap for them to walk through, but it's still a gap nonetheless.
Yes, I don't think Huripuppers is going to make this last point easy for DMT. I think something about knowing that they're 1 point away from finishing a game makes the team fight that little bit harder. Every point means you get to play another point.
And so we're going to see who gets sent out for the last, or potentially the last offensive line for DMT. It's like a female matchup point. Altenberg, Carey, Liddell, Steele, Swinson, Sawyer, Gooden. So Steele with the disc now, facing down the Huripuppers zone, recenters to Swinson. It's a little bit high. Swinson takes the skies to pull that one down. Broadly in a good position, decides not to go up for it. Liddell keeps the disc, finds Swinson center field, back towards the near sideline, finds a steal. Sawyer pressured heavily by Amin. It doesn't come away. Swinson's got it. Back to his steal. Really great aggressive defense from the Huripuppers, slowly pushing it backwards. His steal sends it up.
Ooh.
It was never going to come back inbound, so at around the halfway mark, Huripuppers can bring the disc in. They've only got a half a field ahead of them to work, and to bring it back within 3 points. What an exciting game we've got for us, folks.
That was some pretty solid defense from Huripuppers to force that turn. The handlers couldn't find a way through it.
Great laser beam from Joel to Smith. Somehow Kajentiran keeps that one in, but DMT defense shuts it down. Liz Gooden decides not today. This is not how the game ends. Steele with the disc. Couple of early fakes trying to shift the defense. Liddell goes wide, finds Swinson. Back to Liddell, center field. Steele, but there's nothing happening in the downfield space. Oh, Svetanovich, sorry, had the disc. Svetanovich and Whitaker.
Swinging it back and forwards very cleanly, but it does seem to be that they're struggling to find their way around this zone at the moment.
Having to really use long and wide passes to make the zone try and outrun itself. Gooden with the disc.
There we
Goes
go.
up line to Whitaker.
Some forward
Back to
momentum.
Svetanovich.
It can be tempting when you start getting that forward momentum to keep forcing it, but it is good to stop, make sure you have possession, start doing it again.
Whitaker back to Swinson, to Svetanovich. Weber once again crashing past that front wall of that Huripuppers zone. Trying to be the option, the little chip that cuts all the way through. Svetanovich puts one
And
long,
Liz.
finds Goodens, very close, puts it up to Eltenberg carry for the score! First to Callahan and then a game winner. DMT 15, Huripuppers 10, our final score in the last game of our stream coverage on day one of the 2022 Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships here at beautiful Bob Deans Field in Christchurch. My name is Blair Munro.
My name's Lydia Smith.
And it has been an absolute pleasure to be your eyes and ears on the ground to talk you through this exciting match between DMT and Huripupper. Proudly brought to you by ULTI.TV. If you like what you see and you want to help us bring you the very best in Ultimate in New Zealand, Australia, and around the world, head on over to patreon.com/ULTI.TV. Sign up, give us your spare change. But until tomorrow, where we come back for the conclusion of pool play in our wonderful tournament, that's everything from us. Thank you very much.